What is up, everybody? Today we are back in the forge with a video all about the ores and what they do to your weapons and armor. So if you actually go into the forge, you can see I have all these ores right here. And so not only do they add multipliers to the stats on the things you are actually crafting, but they give you special little abilities that do not require runes to be put on them. So if I go over to my equipment, you can see I have all of these abilities on my katana, and I actually got these from the ores that I put on them. So I have attack speed, negative vitality, lethality, and critical chance, and I got all of those from the special ores that I put on it, especially with this one too, and you can also get it on your armor as well. So the ores that will be in this video will be epic or legendary, because the harder the ores to get, they're usually going to have the abilities with them. But guys, some ores like Galaxite, which is a 1 in 1 million, do not have abilities yet. So obviously you're going to be farming for some easier things to get. I would say it's going to be within the range from 1 to 500 and a 1 in 5,000. So it will take a bit of grinding, but it is definitely worth it, guys. So right now, all of the ores that actually have traits on them are in the second world, except Poopite, which does, but it's really not useful. So you're going to be wanting to get these main ores as of right now. So starting off, you have Obsidian, which is specifically for your armor, and you get it from the volcanic rocks, which are down in the lava area. So if you follow me over here, I've actually been to this area a couple times in some of my recent videos, so you guys should know how to get here by now. If you haven't watched those, watch them, because they are actually really useful on to get money and to farm runes and everything. So you're just going to come down right here, and there are a couple enemies that are dangerous. And guys, you will need a good pickaxe, so you're going to need the arcane or molten pickaxe to actually be able to mine this stuff, guys. But you're going to go and search for rocks like these. There's actually one right over here. And so they are not really a pain for them to spawn, but there will be enemies guarding them. So just make sure to kill them. But once you do get to the rock, just mine it. So once I mine it, I actually got Fireite, which is a pretty rare one, and Obsidian and Cooperite. So those are actually all going to be on the list, I think, guys, except actually Cooperite. But let's start off. Like I said, Obsidian gives you an extra 30% defense on your armor, so that is very good if you want to tank hits. So it's kind of good for any race as well. Just gonna always want to put that on your armor. Now you have Rivalite, which is similar to Cooperite but is more rare. It's a red ore found in the basalt veins and volcanic rocks. If you did not know, the basalt veins look like these, and you will need the mithril pickaxe or higher to actually mine these. So you will need to get a bit of money to save up to actually be able to mine these guys. But once you do, you actually do also get a lot of access to the ores in this video. So Rivalite gives you a plus 20% crit chance on weapons, which is really good if you're looking at weapons that have very fast abilities or just like fast swinging. So on katanas and daggers, this is really good, because if you just think about it, the more swings you get in on an enemy, the more chances a crit will happen. So using that on races like Dragonborns and Demons and Angels is really useful. So this is a really good ore just to be able to deal some extra damage. Now, uranium is found in basalt veins, which I showed you earlier, and this is a armor ore, which is actually very useful, and I would suggest using this if you like AFKing in this game, which when I say that, I mean by coming over here into the area of the volcanic place, negating all the enemies. But if you go over here, it is a very common spot to AFK. As you can see, some people are already doing it right now. You can kind of just sit here and mine. But if enemies do come up to you, which is pretty rare because this is actually a really good spot, it's pretty secluded, you actually get a AoE damage on your armor, which basically means that any enemies that come up to you start getting damaged. It's kind of like an aura around you that'll damage enemies. So it's like having thorns, but they don't even need to hit you. You also get plus 5% max HP. So I would definitely recommend using this on your armor as well. Mithril, again, is a basalt vein ore, which gives you an extra 15% defense on your armor. It's pretty easy to get. I think right now I have a lot of it. I have 23. So if you just AFK for a little while, you're going to be able to get a lot of this stuff. But again, it's an armor ore. And guys, just letting you know, it's kind of obvious. Don't be using the armor ore on your weapons if you are trying to get their passives on your weapons, because that's just not how that works, and it won't work. Now, the next ore on the list being eye ore, which is very popular as of right now. A lot of people are trying to get this stuff. You can get it in the volcanic geodes, the basalt rocks, basalt cores, and the veins. So it is very useful just because of its interesting passive. Now, it gives you negative 10% HP and plus 15% damage on your weapons and armor, meaning that you'll just do more damage if you have the armor on with it, and you will also get the negative 10% HP. So this is actually a really good ore to be using, because it's a good trade-off if you have a class race that has a lot of health to begin with. So stuff like Dragonborns, Angels, Demons, the higher ups. If you have a race like that, it is really necessary to use this stuff, because the trade-off is worth it by getting this extra 15% damage, which might not sound like a lot in the beginning, but it's actually pretty crazy. I actually do have an eye ore katana. It's kind of funny, if you do have eye ore as the primary ore on the sword, the little eyes show up on your thing. So I actually have one in the hilt right here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little ball on the end, and then there's 3 extra ores. Your sword and weapons and armor will become translucent. It looks pretty cool, but it is actually super useful, guys. Now, Fireite is really rare. It is a 1 in 2,187, so it is not something very common you're going to come across. It has a good multiplier, but it also has a 20% chance to burn on enemies that you hit with the weapon. So what that means, guys, is basically instead of putting a fire rune on your weapon and dealing constant flame damage, if you just have it straight off the bat, you're able to actually deal flame damage on enemies normally. It will pop up not as much just because it is only a 20% chance, but it's still a good thing. So if you do want this ore, I would recommend only using it if you are not a Dragonborn, because you actually have a passive with Dragonborn and Demon where you do flame damage as a passive. So it's not something I would really look forward to if you had a race like that. But if you have Angel or even like Dwarf or something that is not really good for combat, using this is really good, because if you get one hit in, the enemy can actually die pretty easily after they're set on fire. Now we have Magmite right here, guys, which gives you a 50% chance of an AoE explosion on weapons, which is actually insane. Now the only problem is it's a 1 in 3,000. It has a good multiplier, however, but you're gonna need a lot of this stuff. And this is actually one of the quest ores for a couple NPCs, showing you that it is pretty rare. Now, what explosions actually do is, if I show you on my Rivalite weapon, I actually have the explosion rune on it. It is quite insane. So if I go around trying to kill enemies, let's see if any of them actually explode. Oh, and there we go. He just exploded. So it does a large amount of damage, which helps. It's kind of a extra critical chance kind of thing, where it'll help you kill the enemy sooner, which does mean comboing is a lot easier, as you can kind of finish your combo if they're already low health from the explosions, and you kind of do a 1 combo kill. So I would really recommend trying to get this in the meantime, but don't really like look for it just because of its rarity. Also, it is only from the volcanic rocks, same as the Fireite, which does mean it's much harder to get because it's harder to farm those because they spawn less frequently compared to the basalt veins. Now we have Lightite, which is also from the basalt vein, and is a 1 in 3,333 chance. There are question marks on the wiki, but this thing actually gives you a faster swing. Supposedly, that's what everybody says, and I actually do agree. I think all my weapons that I use it on are faster, but it does not say. So it's kind of a secret ore that is used, but if you are willing to take the risk, use it. I do get a lot of it actually when I AFK, surprisingly, even though it is a pretty low chance, but it is not that bad because I feel like on swords like katanas and all the fast swinging weapons, it is just a good extra boost. Now the last 2 ores are special because they actually inflict passives that other races has, being the Shadows passive and the Demons passive. First, you have the Demonite, which is a 1 in 3,666, has a 5.5 multiplier, and is also found in volcanic rocks. It does burn damage, and the Demon's Backfire passive, which if you did not know, has a 25% chance to burn enemies when you are being hit by them. So this basically just is another form of thorns, except they get burned instead of hit once. So they also are inflicted with burn damage and will die easier. So it's pretty good having this on your armor, but also your weapons if you're trying to look for that burn damage on your swords. But again, it is a pretty low chance, actually the second lowest chance on the whole list. Now, Darkerite is a very uncommon ore. As you can see, it is a 1 in 5,555 chance, making it the rarest on the list. So getting this is a definite challenge and is seen as very lucky to actually be got. But basically, it gives you the Shadow's Phantom Step passive, which is when you are taking damage, there is a 15% chance to turn into a shadow to dodge the attack. So this is something you put on your armor, and it's basically an evasive measure that your armor gives you with the ore. So if you are getting hit by an enemy, you have a 15% chance to be able to dodge it and run away, which does save you in a lot of scenarios, especially with new bosses coming up, shown in the sneak peeks of the game. This could definitely be really useful, as the bosses could have some crazy attacks, and a chance is a chance. And if you can dodge some of their attacks without having to roll it, or if you forget to roll, it is pretty good and could save your life and could get you more stuff. But that is pretty much it, guys. Today's video was a good one, especially if you are looking to get your armor to be better than it already is. There are a couple recipes out there, and I might make a video showing you guys the best recipes for your weapons. But that's pretty much it. So if you like today's video, please like and sub, and I will see you guys on the next one.